one of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's and the Foreign Ag Service's premier functions, especially in our overseas offices, is reporting. So providing agricultural production, supply, and demand estimates to the global audience. The WASDE, or WASDE, is the World Agriculture Supply and Demand Estimate for commodities including livestock, oilseeds, wheat, corn, and so on. It's a free publication. It comes out monthly, and it's important that it be free, as the U.S. believes that the United States and the world that it's important to monitor, manage, and basically plan for global agricultural changes and conditions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, specifically the Foreign Agricultural Service, we have a strong history and commitment to transparent reporting. USDA and the Foreign Agricultural Service exist in 70 countries around the world, essentially, and we are providing on-site, on-the-ground information to Washington on the conditions that we see here in our respective countries. For our purposes overseas, the WASDE really starts with our locally employed specialists. They're the ones that here in Germany, for instance, have the contacts with the farmers, with the agricultural groups. They're seeing the crops and the commodities firsthand. So we take their information and we report that back to Washington. The WASDE itself is comprised of interagency commodity committees that are looking at the respective commodities. They're pulling that production and supply information from sources like those foreign agricultural attaché positions, the locally employed specialists here on the ground, and they're feeding it into their global demand. So the production and supply estimates from Germany are looked at as part of the EU, which are then looked at on a global basis.
My name is Bryan Purcell. I work for the International Production Assessment Division, known as IPAD, and we're part of the Foreign Agricultural Service. Our mission is to help USDA produce the WASDE reports each month, which is basically a balance sheet of world agricultural production estimates. I cover Europe and North Africa. Other analysts cover regions like Brazil or China. And what we do is, in order to be better as an analyst, we travel into the countries that we're responsible for to talk with farmers, to talk to traders, to talk to industry officials, to talk to all sources of background, so that we have a better knowledge of what's going on in country. Unfortunately, we're not able to travel all the time, so what we rely on often are satellite imagery, so remote sensing sources, weather data. We also use sources in the press. We use various, what we call an all sources approach. One of the big things that has been influencing crop production in Germany this year has been the ongoing drought, and that really started last year and affected the crop last year, and its effects are still being noticed this year with issues with less rapeseed area and production yield issues. So it's been very interesting to see the results of the dryness and the recent heat back in June, and to talk with farmers and understand their perspectives and the challenges that they've been facing. I'm continuing on into Austria and the Czech Republic. Since I'm responsible for all of Europe, I like to include areas that I haven't been. I haven't traveled crop travel in Austria. It's unique because they have durum wheat, so I'm interested in seeing how that has been affected. But I also want to make sure that I understand what the trends and issues are in those countries as well, so that when I'm back in Washington, I have a better understanding of what conditions that are occurring in the country have effects on the crop, so that if I need to make changes in the production estimates, I know what triggers take place in order to make changes.